Hello and welcome to Just Africa, the show where we unpack the continent's defining moments, decisions and directions. Today we focus on a seismic shift in West African geopolitics. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, three Sahel nations led by military juntas, are officially exiting ECOWAS as their withdrawal window closes. What does this breakaway mean for regional cooperation, trade and stability? Is this the birth of a new power bloc or a risky retreat from integration? Now, with the region battling coups, sanctions, and shifting alliances, West Africa stands at a crossroad. I am Olumide Shokoya, welcoming you to Just Africa. Of course, I'm not the only one. I have the perfect gentleman by my left, Onye Priye Krumale.
Hello, Olumide.
How you doing?
I'm okay. It's good to be here once again. Good afternoon to you, Lagos. Good afternoon to you, Nigerians. And it's Just Africa, alliance of the Sahel states.
Yes.
The AES.
AES.
Well, I know one of their complaints is for marginalization. They felt the economic communities of West African states, ECOWAS, are the puppets of the Western countries. And with the way and they came to taking over power, it's not permissible within the Conference of Economic Communities of West African States. And I remember the chairman of ECOWAS then, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, wanted to take a very, it's not in his capacity as the president,
yes,
but in his capacity as the chairman of ECOWAS, even though ECOWAS will say, of course, it is your own, you can only occupy the capacity of the chairman of ECOWAS when you have the capacity of the president of your own country. And they looked at ECOWAS differently with the eyes of, suspicion. Most especially to our president, they did not actually welcome the way. But I'm glad that Mr. President restricted himself. So, yeah, because under normal circumstances, according to the Treaties 19 of the ECOWAS bloc, it suggests, it actually stipulates that if you want to actually leave the bloc of ECOWAS, you need to give 1 year notice by writing to the Secretary General of the director and the executive secretary or something like that of ECOWAS before you leave.
Yes.
And within that 1 year period of time, you are going to be part of ECOWAS. You are bound by the rules of ECOWAS.
Till after a year?
Yeah, till after a year. But it was split the other way by these 3 states, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, in that they've already taken over the reins of power before making their intentions known. In fact, they didn't even make their intentions known. They just took over the reins of power through the barrel of the gun, and when they were leaving, while they had left and they saw the body language of the ECOWAS countries coming, that was when they had to tender their exit notes that they needed to leave. Well, January this year should have been the time for them to leave, but a grace period of 6 months was given to them for them to reconsider their decision. But obviously they did not. They called it off.
Yeah, 2 things we need to also note. According to this AES, Alliance of States, they cited inhumane sanctions by ECOWAS. Secondly, ECOWAS on their own part consider the withdrawal notice invalid owing to the decision that it's not coming from a democratically elected leader, it's coming from a military ruler. But later on, they had to just give in. So we will be looking at a whole lot today. We will be looking at the ECOWAS breakaway deadline. Of course, 3 West African countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, have decided to leave ECOWAS, which is the Economic Community of West African States. Now, ECOWAS is a group of 15 countries that work together, to promote peace, trade, and cooperation in the region. Now, these 3 countries are currently run by military governments, not elected civilian leaders. Now, in recent years, ECOWAS has criticized them and even imposed sanctions because of the military takeovers. Now, in response, these countries formed their own group called the Alliance of Sahel States, that's the AES, and announced they were quitting ECOWAS. Now the withdrawal deadline has passed, meaning the exit is official. They are no longer members of ECOWAS. Joining us to break down these implications, the risk and opportunities in the moment of transition, is an award-winning journalist, a keynote speaker, public affairs analyst, expert in political and sport journalism. Mr. Emmanuel Oluwatomisin Afolabi joins us via Zoom on Just Africa. So glad to have you this afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I'm happy to be here this afternoon. Thank you, sir.
All right, so let's start off from the beginning. What does this mean? What does this exit mean in practical terms, politically, economically, diplomatically, for ECOWAS and the Sahel trio?
All right, thank you very much. Well, this exit of these three nations, it means a lot of things. Number one, it's going to cause economic breakdown. That is, the economic is to get boosted or get boosted before, it's going to reduce. It's going to cause a lot of havoc in the economic system. That's number one. Then number two, their political landscape or political system of government is going to be reduced. For example, ECOWAS is a group of over 14 countries together, put together. That is economic community of West African states. That is, it is a collaboration of different countries, different nations for the betterment of Africa. But three countries pulling out is going to be backward to the nation. I don't think it's something that is going to last long. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing a future. I'm not seeing a very good future for them backing out of the ECOWAS. But what I'm just seeing is retrogression, and I'm not seeing any moving forward for them sticking out or moving out of ECOWAS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, two questions. The first question, in response to your answer, you said that you don't see this lasting for long. So do you see a reintegration of these three states? And also, if you look at the whole body language of ECOWAS, they tried. So do you think that this breakaway was inevitable, or could ECOWAS, in your own opinion, could they have done more to prevent this breakaway?
I think ECOWAS has done a lot of things they should. They even extended the limits that where they should be able to reconsider again. ECOWAS has done the best thing by still extending it. That please, you guys should rethink what you said. Think about it. Let us as African countries, let us be united. And them pulling out of ECOWAS is bringing on division again. And I won't be surprised in the next few years if another country is saying they want to pull out. So I'm not going to be surprised. But I still remain on the fact that what Burkina Faso, Mali, and other countries, the three countries, what they did, I'm not seeing a lasting impression there. And I hope they're not going to regret that decision. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for joining us once again on the program. Now, other people will have a different argument from the stance you just currently painted about the convergence or the coming together of these states who have effectively named themselves as the Convergence of the Sahel States, Alliance of the Sahel States. So, in their breaking away, they've been able to form alliances with Russia. From non-Western countries, they've been able to form alliances with China. They have been able to form alliances with Iran. Some of the countries that these African countries have been able to form alliances with, though they are notoriously known for having a very, very bad image at the global stage. However, it looks like the intervention of Russia and the alliances and the economic cooperation they're having with Russia tends towards development, sustainability, and economic independence, which they did not have in their alliances with their former colonial masters like France. They seem to be making a headway in the positive direction. What makes you think this new alliance and the breakaway will not stand? It looks like it is even formidable and it's making progress.
Well, thank you very much. This is why I said it's not going to stand. Now, I think Turkey is even inclusion too. Turkey, Iran. Number one, let us look at all these countries. Let us check their economic, let us check at the advantages of the economic system of government it's going to bring to the country. Now, for a country like Burkina Faso, Mali, and the other country, how do you feel their economy is going to boost? Now, joining those countries, they are not bad, they are good. But what are those countries known for? You're talking about countries you want to join alliance with. You're talking about Iran. You're talking about Russia. These are countries that they are known for war. They are known for another thing. They are not known for boosting economy. And if they should join this alliance as they've joined, all I just see there is it's not going to be balanced. A lot of countries will be restricted from going there. And let's not forget, these the three countries together, they are using the same currency. And though it's going to be of help to them, but at the same time too, they join in Russia, Iran, Turkey. It's going to be retrogression because this country, what have been their economic system of value in the market world today. If you look at Iran are known to be a war today, war tomorrow. Is that what Burkina Faso, Mali, and other countries, is that what they want to turn to? So with what I've been saying, I'm not still seeing any should I call it blessing or any lasting impression with the coalition they are doing now.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Now, you've mentioned this country, so let's take a brief look at them economically. If you're talking about Russia, let me go to China first. If you're talking about China, China is responsible for building over 150 airports, I beg your pardon, seaports across the world. More than 150. So they've been able to impact other nations economically by opening up territories, by opening up their trade routes and giving them a facility that enables them to prosper economically. And they've been doing that in Africa, in Nigeria, and in other parts of the world. If you're talking about Russia, Russia is currently prosecuting a war against Ukraine, but they have not crumbled in spite of the several sanctions coming from European Union, coming from the United States of America. They are still prosecuting the war, and their economy is forging ahead. The gas pipeline is moving forward. They're still making some form of progress, notwithstanding that they are suffering some form of disadvantage. If you're talking about Iran, Iran has developed a technology that they've been able to develop that uranium reserve to the extent that they've gone past the level where they can provide sustainable electric power in their country, and they're moving towards the nuclear stage, which is actually one of the reasons why the United States had to go bomb some of their facility. It looks like these countries, when it comes to technology and economic-wise, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger will have to, they have a lot to gain from their alliances with this country. And their accusation against other West African countries is that you have been a puppet of the West for such a long time. Don't you think they have a very strong argument?
Well, thank you very much. They have a very strong reasons for the pulling out. But a part of it is insecurity too. Part of it is insecurity. They feel they are not being secured enough. And fine, you noted it and you made it known that these three countries, China, Russia, Iran, they are known for their technological wise. But what I'm still trying to make everyone know is, can Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, can they survive or can they sustain this relationship to a long term? Can it be a long-term relationship? Is there not going to be a particular time in a year whereby Iran, Russia, or China will tell them we need something like this? Can they provide it? Or are they not, or these countries, are they not going to be puppets are controlled by China, by Russia, by Iran? This is my bone of contention. I just feel they're pulling out of ECOWAS is wrong, because very soon, like I said, it's going to cause division. That's why I say I'm not going to be surprised if another country pulls out of ECOWAS in the next few years. And we are causing division in African country, in the West African country.
All right, thank you very much. Now, talk about division. What type of influence would this breakaway of the AES have on other countries? Do you think that this withdrawal would inspire other countries to reconsider their ECOWAS membership?
Yeah, before any country can reconsider the ECOWAS membership, they will wait for a little bit of time. Let us see if these countries are progressing. If they are not progressing, if they are retrogressing, most of them won't join. But let's assume Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, their economy get boosted. Everything is fine. Their security-wise, everything is standard. True to be told, a lot of countries, we pull out of ECOWAS and we join them. That's just the truth.
All right. Okay, so now let's talk about ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. It looks like they've not been doing much in ECOWAS across member states in bringing economic integration, political integration, and strengthening or consolidating their trade ties. The reason why I'm saying that, because ECOWAS is an extension of Africa Union, and we could see that in spite of the existence of this continental bodies that even the global bodies reckon with, they've not been able to do much. If you look at ECOWAS, there's suggestion amongst them for them to produce the ECO, which is going to be one currency for the member states to trade. So in order to completely eliminate trade barriers that exist among member states to allow the free flow of trade, there's been conversations that we Africans need to stop using the dollar as a global denomination as a way of trading among ourselves. That I need to use the naira if I'm going to trade with another ECOWAS country. If they need to use their own money, like the CFA franc that they were using if they are going to trade with Nigeria or any African country. And this has been a problem. They've not been able to solve it. It looks like ECOWAS does not have the ability to put its house in order. What sort of advice do you have for ECOWAS?
Well, like I've been saying this morning, with the removal of, with these countries, the three countries getting themselves or pulling out of ECOWAS, I feel it is time for ECOWAS to sit tight. One of those things they need to consider is, why did Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, why did they pull out of ECOWAS? Now, I think they have to sit down, they come together as team, as a unified body. Let us think, okay, why did this country pull out? Is there a way we can get everything fixed? That's just my advice to them. Let us check, okay, why did Burkina Faso, why did they pull out? Why did Mali, why did they pull out? Why did Niger pull out? They should come together as a team and they should make their necessary adjustments. But if they are not making necessary adjustments, truth to be told, a lot of countries are expected or very soon will pull out. Most importantly, if they see the economic business of Mali and other countries getting boosted, I'm very sure they're going to pull out.
All right, thank you very much. If talking about why they pull out, assessing, ECOWAS' overall diplomatic approach to this juntas, do you think it was too harsh, too soft, or strategically flawed? All right, let me repeat it. I said, how would you assess ECOWAS' approach towards these juntas? Would you say it was too harsh, too soft, or strategically flawed?
It is not too harsh. It is not too harsh. It is well known that before you pull out year notice, and this year notice came again, and it gave them another extension again. I don't expect ECOWAS to be begging them that, oh, please don't leave. Decision. And ECOWAS have done the right thing. You don't expect ECOWAS as a very big nation like that, or a collaboration of about over 10 nations, to be begging just because 3 countries want to leave. They've given them, they even still extended it. And these countries, they said they are not reviewing it again. All they want is they want to pull out of ECOWAS. Best reason known to them. So ECOWAS have done the right thing by extending it, and yet you can't expect ECOWAS to be begging them not to leave. So it is their decision, and their decisions must be respected.
So let's go a bit deeper. What impact might this breakaway have on regional security, especially regarding counter-terrorism in the Sahel region?
Well, if we are talking about the security, well, like I said earlier, one of those reasons why they pull out is because of security reasons. So they join in, they're pulling out. It is best known to them, like I said. But I'm of an opinion that the security of this nation is going to be in danger. is going to be in danger because ECOWAS as a nation, at least they are trying to, at least they help each other. That's what they're known for. They help each other, assist each other whenever there's dangers. You call for collaborations, call for meeting, and they assist each other. So they're pulling out. I feel their security is going to be in jeopardy. And I won't be surprised if all these countries that we've mentioned, if we start hearing different insecurity issues there, I won't be surprised if I hear that bomb blasts begin to happen just because they are not in alliance, just because they are not in cooperation with other African countries that can promote them. But they feel they're pulling out is the best decision. But all at the same time, let us see what is going to happen to them in the nearest future. I'm very sure in the next 6 months, 1 year, we are going to come back here again and we're going to reevaluate their progress so far after pulling out from ECOWAS.
Are you saying that these regions, these three countries, they are open or vulnerable to terrorism attack?
So can you come again? I can't hear clearly.
Are you saying, basically what you're saying is that these three states, are they vulnerable to terrorism attack?
Yes.
How much? Can you explain more on that?
The reason why I said they are vulnerable to attack is, like I said, one of those reasons why they pulled out. One of the reasons they pulled out is because of the issues. But they joining or forming coalition with China, with Russia, but it might strengthen them a bit. But I'm not saying it's getting lasting. So that's what I mean by that. And the security issues is going to get worsened.
All right, so further into this, before we go on a short break, how should we interpret this new bloc, regional defense pact or geopolitical gamble?
So can you come again, sir, please?
All right, I said now, in moving further now, how should we, member states or ECOWAS member states, how should they interpret this new bloc? Is it a regional defense pact or geopolitical gamble?
I think this is a gamble. It is a gamble, and like I've been saying earlier on, let us see the results. Let us see what is going to happen at the end of it. But I feel it is a gamble. It is a gamble.
Right, Oluwatomisin, please stay on the line. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the program.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen that the impact of many lawmakers have been underrated. A few are playing a pivotal role in enacting laws and shaping policies for your community, society, or nation. Then this is for you. The People's Choice Legislative Excellence Award celebrates the individual achievement of lawmakers who have worked tirelessly to enhance the lives of their constituents and contribute positively to their entire well-being. Now, if you're wondering where this will be taking place, it will be taking place at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek on the 25th of September 2025. To take part in this award, all you have to do is send an email to souqnexus.com or send a message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen. We want to see you at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek. Wouldn't you rather be there?
Welcome back to Just Africa. We're still talking about the breakaway of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And we have Emmanuel Oluwatomisi Afolabi still online, an expert in political and sport journalist. He's also a keynote speaker and public affairs analyst. Now, earlier on, Oluwatomisi, you mentioned something like a reintegration. So I would like to ask you, what might a reintegration look like, and based on what conditions, especially for these three Sahel states?
All right. The reason why I talked about retrogression the other time was, let's not forget, they are pulling out now. Or sorry, they pulled out. A lot of countries want to be going there for now because the cost of the road, for example, those going by road now, it's going to be strict. And let's not forget, their currency at the same time is going to affect their currency rate. It's going to affect their economy. It's going to affect the economy. Before the economy can get boosted, it cannot just be very fast like that. There are some certain processes, there are some certain procedures it might take or it's going to take. So the reason why I said retrogression is it's not going to be easy for them to balance very, very fast. And you can't expect Russia, China at the same time, just quickly they start attend to them or keep listening to their play like that. So the retrogression aspect I'm saying is that their currency value is going to fluctuate. Their currency value is going to fluctuate. It's not going to be balanced. And a lot of reasons
What would it look like, and what would the conditions that will be given by ECOWAS? What conditions would ECOWAS give for a reintegration?
Well, you're talking about the condition, like if there's a retrogression, what consideration should ECOWAS give them, right? Yeah, talking about that, the best thing is I don't think they can go back again. If anything, or no matter how the results might be, they're going back is going to be like, wow, despite everything ECOWAS even told us that we should review our thinking, we should review our decision. So Yoruba will say some, can I use the word something in Yoruba? Want to tell. So now using that, despite everything, we've gone, let me just say we've
Don't understand Yoruba.
So I can hear you.
Can you translate what you said in Yoruba for those who don't understand Yoruba?
Like I said, that Yoruba, I said, that they've gone astray. That is, they have no option that to come back, just like the prodigal son in the Bible. He has gone. Later, he came back. Probably, I think that is how their case is going to be. And if they're not being careful, and if they have been lucky enough, they are not the prodigal countries. If they are not the prodigal country, just like the prodigal son in the Bible, well, they are good to go. But if their case later happens to be that they are prodigal countries, oh my God, I don't think ECOWAS will accept.
All right, I think we lost the network there. I do apologize for that. That was Emmanuel Oluwatomisi Afolabi. He's a keynote speaker, political analyst. He's also a sport journalist, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
So,
with the Turkey, the China, the Russia, and you name it. To some extent, they are even fingering North Korea in the world process. In fact, so I see them as countries that are going to even go further to be in the economic bloc for the BRICS nations. Yes, and they are going to be there because they are going to perpetuate themselves in power for quite a while. They are not going to drop the khaki jacket
so
or
they might not go back into
anytime
civilian
soon,
rule?
and they are not going back. They are not going back because their kind of agreement they would have reached with Russia they would have got some form of counsel coming from the alliances, the new alliances that they've made, that look, you have received either a memo or an announcement coming from the ECOWAS bloc that you have 1 year. We know by virtue of the provisions of the ECOWAS law conventions, you have 1 year to give notice. You have given the notice. The time is up, but it looks like they are giving you 6 months to reconsider your decision. As part of the conditions, you are not going back. They are not in a position to make such decision at the moment. I tell you, they do not have any capacity to dictate by themselves for a Burkina Faso president to stand up and make the decision by himself with his military, ministers to say, we are going back to the economic communities of West African states bloc. He cannot do that.
I'm looking at it from another angle.
Like
the people.
The people.
Yes, well, look, we're talking about the juntas. What about the people? Having a leader, a military leader being imposed on them. What happens to them? Is the Constitution still working? Does the Constitution provide?
Of course, the Constitution is going to be suspended because what is the Constitution? The provisions of the Constitution, the way and manner you are supposed to take over political power was through the provisions stipulated by the constitutions. And as a democratic government that we know used to be there, you have to take over the government or the power of government through democratic means. And you took over power through the barrel of the gun. Now that you've taken over power through the barrel of the gun, you cannot subject yourself to be governed by the constitution. Even during in Nigeria, when the military, unwholesomely meddled into the political space, they suspended the existence of the Constitution, and they only adopted the sections of the Constitution that aligns beneficially to both the civilian and to the military government. So as it is now, they are going to be ruling with military decrees, and they are going to be ruling with other sections of the Constitution that will not go against the existence of the military. So that's what they are going to rule by. So you are talking about the people. What about the people if they have any choice? When Nigeria was going through the military dilemma, the Nigerian populace, though were more vocal, people were fighting for, did they have, let alone in Burkina Faso or in Niger? Because if there is any suspicion, any uprising of any protest that, look, we do not want this government, it will come with a brutal force. They will take you down, and let me tell you something, no dissenting voice will be left to exist. Because they are not making it, they want to be in power. I don't think people understand how sweet power is. It's sweeter than honey. And when these guys are going to be in power, they are going to make sure that every voice of opposition will be kept at bay and silenced. And they are going to perpetuate themselves in power. Look at the military strategy, or look at the media strategy that is being adopted by most especially the 35-year-old military ruler in Burkina Faso. He has a very friendly, appealing, and welcoming personality in the media. The media is doing a lot of work in Burkina Faso to sell him to the public that, hey, he took over power through the barrel of the gun. But you know what? He's not a bad person. I don't think we should write him off. I think we should like him. He's fighting for Africa. In fact, he delivered Burkina Faso from their colonizer, from their former colonizers who had kept colonizing them through indirect means. That is the way most of them are going to see it. Because even after the rule, look at what happened. They were rejoicing all over the capital and in the public place. So what are you going to sell to these people?
One of the things I also like to look at is these their newfound lovers, the Russians, the Chinas, and that. Are you saying that they are also encouraging this military rule? Okay. When they themselves do not practice this? I mean, isn't that some sort of hypocrisy?
Well, I don't want to look at it as any form of hypocrisy. Look at China. And look at the way look at the way they govern. Look at Russia. Yes, Mr. Vladimir Putin is on suit, but it looks militaristic. You look around this man.
Boy, all right.
Look around. It's like militaristic. Look at Turkey. Turkey is a force to be reckoned with. Yes. Look at Turkey. These are powerful leaders, and they in geopolitics and in power, you need to have control. You need to be in control. As it is now, Mr. Traore, or the 3 Sahel states, they are not control. They are not. Their control is for within the country. They cannot really control other key decisions that are going to affect their alliance. So if they have these military persons in power who are sworn loyalty to them, they will do everything within their means to perpetuate them in power, and they need to expand their footprints in global politics. That is why.
So let's say, Mr. Emmanuel Oluwatomisi Afolabi, are you there? Let's have.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
My colleague and I, we were just talking. What is the future of the citizens, the everyday person in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger? What options do they have? How will they move? What's going to happen to them? What's their future like?
Well, they have no option to dance to the tune. They are not the ones to decide. Their leaders have decided their fate. So all they just need to do is just to pray to God, Lord God, the decision our leaders have made, let it favor us. We can't say, because no matter, even though they stage a protest, it is not going to solve the issue. Their leaders have decided. Like I said the other time, all they just need to do is just pray to God, whatever decision or the decision our leaders have made, let it favor us. I think that's what they can do. And I don't want to predict the future, but we are hoping that the best known to them with that decision, and that's just it. So they should just pray to God that whatever is going to happen, it should be good for them. And the decision.
All right. Also, last question. Do you think we might see any intervention, maybe from the UN or maybe from world powers, to try and soften this breakaway?
Sorry, please, can you come again with the question, sir?
I said, in the future, do you think we might see any intervention from UN, from world powers, the EU? Do you foresee any intervention?
If there's going to be any intervention, we can't say yet. We can't say yet, and only if we want to predict that there's going to be any intervention. But let us hope. Let us see that probably there's going to be any intervention. Hopefully, they should. And let's not forget, we keep saying, if the country, if the removal of themselves from ECOWAS, if it favors them, then let us see if possibly other countries, other unions too, we are going to join them, or they are going to make intervention with the three countries.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Oluwatomisi Afolabi. So glad to have you. You have been very thoughtful.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. So we'll go on a short break. We still have another guest coming in on Just Africa. It's still Just Africa. Stay tuned.
For more than a century, Zambia has stood as a prominent figure in the mining sector, particularly renowned for its copper production, which remains a cornerstone of the nation's economy. Accounting for 3/4 of the country's export earnings, mining plays a pivotal role in Zambia's economic landscape. The focal point of this mining activity is the Copper Belt province, home to major copper mines like Lumwana and Konkola, alongside Sentinel in the northwestern province. These mines, operated by renowned international firms such as Barrick and Vendetta Resources, hold majority foreign ownership, with Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine Investment Holdings retaining minority stakes. Smaller mines in the Copper Belt region, backed by investors from countries like China, Brazil, and South Africa, contribute to Zambia's diversified mining landscape. However, the country's mining sector faces various challenges, hindering the potential growth trajectory. Fiscal policies introduced by the government, including royalty increases, the taxation policies, have negatively impacted mining profitability. Also, price volatility in global markets, infrastructural deficiencies like inadequate transportation networks, power shortages, and an uncertain regulatory environment further increases the sector's challenges. Moreover, labor disputes, safety concerns, and geopolitical risks stemming from political instability poses additional hurdles to Zambia's mining sector. To propel the nation towards its 3 million tons copper production goal, strategic measures are crucial, and these include leveraging digital technology through partnerships with AI and machine learning firms to enhance sector's efficiency and investment, stable policy framework in order to attract and retain investment, and provision of a conducive regulatory environment. Infrastructure strengthening supported by donor funding and concessional financing can also alleviate critical constraints such as transportation and power shortages. More so, environmental conservation is vital for sustainable development. Hence, mining companies must provide government-approved environmental management plans, prioritize durable equipment, and proper waste disposal techniques to minimize environmental degradation. Giving copper's expected dominance in Zambia's exports, maintaining its position as Africa's economic hub demands a concerted effort. Israel Adeyemi, Souqnews.
Welcome back to Just Africa, where we deep dive into trends shaping our world. We're still looking at the ECOWAS breakaway deadline. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger exit window closes. Now, our second guest is Ambassador Wallace William, Chairman, African International Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So glad to have you on Just Africa.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here as well, too. Continue the good work that you all are doing. To raise the profile of Africa and Africa narrative is very important for us as Africanists and as the African Chamber.
Right, thank you very much. So let's kick off. What does the formal withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger from ECOWAS signal about the state of regional integration in West Africa?
Right. I think what has been long overdue on the African continent is a model for implementing Africa's way of doing things. You know, I spoke and have always been speaking about Africacy, Africans doing it for themselves, by themselves, African solutions to African problems. And this is what the AES has demonstrated. ECOWAS, I'm afraid, have become a very whimpering dog. They have no clout. Instead, they are being used, and it is very clear that they are being used by Western powers, imperialists, colonialists, to carry out their dirty work against three rising stars of the African continent who have demonstrated that we can do things by ourselves. We will look after our sovereign assets, our minerals, our resources, and we will develop our people, local content, local value chain, and we will not become cash crops or exporters of our raw material, and the countries remain poor. ECOWAS has got to wake up. So is the African Union. We need to look at those solutions that work for Africa. You know, what has happened in the past is that we have tried every other system. We have tried neo-colonialist leaders, you know, who are not for the country, not for the continent. Now we have seen three brave young men who have said, enough is enough. Let us do what is right for our people. Let us do what is right for Africa. Instead, what ECOWAS should be doing is getting a model from them to implement across the continent. That is what they should be doing. They should be embracing them as brothers and saying, I like what you're doing, I hear what you're doing, and we need to get rid of the Western powers who have operated with impunity and raped and plundered our continent. That is what they should be doing. ECOWAS should not be used as a puppy dog or a puppet by Western powers to drive any wedge between what has become a unity of states. And if we replicate that across the continent, Africa will be free. We need that Ubuntu in us, that unity of purpose, unity of vision, unity for our people, and also harboring our own sovereign rights, our own sovereignty together to have a United States of African nations. I wouldn't call it a United States of Africa, but United States of African nations, because we are all nations before the Berlin Conference cut up the continent into what is now a despicable warmongering continent, and that has been fueled by Westerners. They arm the rebels. They get the rebels to attack, governments that are saying no, enough is enough. So I think the deadline is nonsense, absolute nonsense. ECOWAS should go and hide behind a wall and renew themselves, rethink themselves, meet with, forward-thinking leaders like we have in the AAS.
All right, Ambassador Wallace Williams, thank you very much for that. Now, in your line of thought, you conferred the title of brave men to these military rulers. But some would disagree, looking at how they got to power through the use of force, through the use of a gun. What are your thoughts on this? And also, how would this also affect regional trade? I mean, we Africans have been advocating for a single currency, regional trade, the AFCTA. How would this affect all of this?
Right, okay. Now, we say that force by the use of a gun. Let me ask you something. How did the American Revolution happen when they wanted to go against Great Britain? Isn't by the use of the gun to free themselves, to become what they are today, a democratic country, as they call it, the United States of America? Were they not states before? Canada and America, did they not use the force of guns to get their freedom, to move away from British? I remember again, it was British oversight on them, and they said no. So they had to go to war, the American War of Independence. Please remember these things. We keep talking about our own people who have used force to free themselves and say it's wrong because we want them to be democratic. No, I want them to be Afrocratic. I want them to be Afrocentric. We do things the way we have been doing. Have we not been governing ourselves long before our enslavers and our colonialists came? We did. We had our own means of governance. We had our chiefs. We had our kings. We had a free Ubuntu system that looked after each other and we looked after ourselves. We had governance. Don't fool yourselves. We had governance, and we govern ourselves correctly. Even if we had tribal wars, etc., those were things that are in the nature of human beings. But Africans had governed themselves. And the Americans and all the other countries that World War I, World War II, was it not for freedom? Was it not for independence? Did they not take guns? Let's not fool ourselves about the fact that our people decided enough is enough, and the only way they can do what they had to do is to show force. And by force, how else would you remove France? Would you mean remove France from those three AES countries by a democratic puppet leader who will be afraid and scared to tell them to go? No. You have to have those of our people who are armed and who say enough is enough. We will take power and remove those who are, being utilized by Westerners, by Western puppets to keep our people in poverty. It's just a few of these elites that are enjoying, the country whilst the rest remains poor. I'm in total support of use of force for independence, for sovereignty.
The Wallace, for your position. But I found it rather somehow, for lack of a better word, kind of, when we celebrate the coup. The reason why I'm saying that, you made references to United States of America and how they were able to sever ties from their former colonizers, which is the British. But America was not truncating its democracy. They were actually leaving the former alliance or their former subjugation to the powers of the British, then, who stand as their colonizers. So when we talk about trying to be independent, that to say they were right to do in doing that so they can stand alone as a state could be tenable. But when you consider the case of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they were taking over powers from a constitutionally elected government, a democratically elected government. And the constitution that existed in this state has explicitly stated that power must be acquired through the means that is receptive, that's dictated the provisions as stated in the constitution. And after they had done this, which is a crime, because now they are saying, after committing the crime, they are giving an excuse that ECOWAS has become the puppets of the West, and that is why they did what they did. But don't you think it's now time for Mr. Traore and his other two counterparts for them to lay the precedents for the re-establishment of a democratically elected government within their state, which is the direction that ECOWAS painted under the able leadership of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the chairman of the ECOWAS bloc? They have refused to come back. They've refused to take this line. Don't you think they are taking actions for self-benefit or intoxicated by power, as the case may be?
Sorry, we were having some interference there. Okay, you talk about constitution, you talk about democratically elected. All those things are, I would say, very nice terminologies. But when you have countries in Africa who need to move away from what has been consistently the same, you cannot achieve a different result by having the same methodology. Let's put it that. Let's be scientific. The same methodology, the constitution, the democratically elected, and you keep bringing up people who are not doing things right for the country. Something has to change. So you have to have a revolution. After the revolution, if you tear up the constitution, you write a new one, that's fine. Have we not had in Nigeria several times military coups and the constitution changed? And those constitution has remained as part of a military takeover? Come on, let us be fair to our brothers and sisters in the AES. They are saying we are moving away from what has been implemented on us. We are now moving towards a revolution for our people. First, to begin, you have to ask, has the people said no? Have they said no to this a new paradigm shift of having their own, move those people away and start a program that they are implementing and the people are welcoming and have welcomed and are in agreement with? If the country has said, yes, we wanted this, how many times we have had coups in Nigeria and people went out in the streets and celebrated? We wanted to get rid of bad governance. Not so. It has happened several times in the history of Nigeria. So if the AES countries have said enough is enough and we are having a revolution and we are going to rewrite the constitution or rewrite the way we are going to move our country forward, that is the way to go. And I think we should be looking at their model to move away from what we have had in the past. Africa cannot move forward anymore with the handles of and hammers of neocolonialists, imperialists, or colonials still in power dictating what we do as Africans. Africans must do it for themselves, by themselves. However it's done. However it's done to make sure once these people are benevolent in that they have taken control of their countries and they are benevolent benefactors to their people, then they are doing the right thing. If they were committing atrocities, yes, we will say that was not the right thing to do. But if they are opening factories, free education, putting prisoners to work, and doing things in an Ubuntu way, we have to be radical, my dear brothers. We have to be radical at this point in time. Africa is waking up. 75% of the youth of the continent is youth, and 75% of those youths are unemployed. And what you need is to have them now brought into a system where they're getting education, they're getting jobs to do, they're getting a part of the benefits of the country. Already, what has happened in Burkina Faso? Have they not doubled and tripled their GDP after they have taken control of their gold? When Mali is going to be, or Niger is selling their uranium now that they've taken control of, are they not going to get 100% benefit of that, which they can now transform into programs for their people, free education, medicine, food security, etc.? We have to be radical. And we as Pan-Africanists are not afraid to speak truth to power. What happens with...
Let me butt in here. Apologies, Ambassador Wallace. I'm so sorry, I need to come in here. Now, you've rightly pointed out about the GDP of the Sahel states. Now that you've talked about the GDP, let's take the conversation towards that dimension about economic, business, and development. Currently, as we speak, Niger is... inflation rate in Niger is double digit, about 13%. For Mali, it's about 12%, and for Burkina Faso is about 12%, and for Mali it's about 10% for the inflation. And we know that the currencies in these nations do not really have a formidable or such sort of credibility. It actually has the tendency to suffer credibility risks. Do not forget that they've equally moved forward to say they want to create a confederation of the Sahel states, an economic bloc that they hope will give a one currency for exchange among the three states in Sahel states. They were trying to mimic what ECOWAS was talking about, the ECO. Don't you think this is going to heighten inflation, most especially since they seem to be cutting away trade ties with the rest of ECOWAS economic bloc and not seem to be making friends, but with China, Turkey, and Russia?
Oh, you made an excellent point there. Do you know that inflation is the weapon of the colonialists with their currency, not our own currency? Why did they kill the ECO? They killed the ECO because we were going to move away from that weaponization of their currencies, right? Now, with the AES having their own currency, that's the first step in real independence and looking at bringing in their own common market inflation. The good thing is for them is that soon enough, the other partners that they have looked at, Russia, China, India, they are now part of BRICS. And BRICS is an alternative currency that they will accept, right? They will accept your local currency to do business. China doing one-to-one bilateral with their yuan. Russia and the BRICS nations are also going to be doing the very same. And soon enough, as you talk about AFCTA, they have already got a new a payment settlement system, PAPS, which I was very honored to have received one of the first PAPS cards at the Afrexim Bank annual general meeting in Abuja just 3 weeks ago, which means that we can pay for goods and services in our own currencies and it would not be affected.
All right, thank you very much, Ambassador Wallace William. But just to add to what my colleague said, if you look at the Alliance of Sahel State, they are struggling with underdeveloped infrastructure. They have limited diversification, low adult literacy rates, that's as below as 40%, and reliance on transit, through ECOWAS nation. They also face unemployment, just like my colleague said, about notably 12% in Niger and 15% in Burkina Faso. And many households are facing rising cost pressure. Do you think that they can actually survive 1 year, 2 years? And is there any possibility of any reintegration?
They are fixing their economic systems at the moment. That takes time. The good thing is that we have now known, I think it was last week, that Ghana is going to allow them transit and going to allow an alliance with them so that they are not stifled by the rest of ECOWAS. I think that's good brotherliness, good neighborliness, and that's what ECOWAS should be doing. If they want them to be reintegrated, then what you have to do is show that you are supporting them, supporting their vision, and supporting their mission to free, African states from the hegemony of colonial, neo-colonialists, and puppeteers. They are doing the right thing, and we say kudos to Ghana, and any other country surrounding them should do the same. Give them opportunity to fix their economic systems, take control of their resources, and be independent and sovereign, and stand up for what has happened over the past decades, where we have been pillaged, plundered, and ripped off completely. That is what they are showing. I think we see a model there. Just like China had a model. China had a model of the People's Revolutionary Army, and they looked inwards, and they built their country to the exclusion of all others. And where are they today? They are now a power. They are now a powerhouse. The People's Revolutionary Army in absolutely every community is what they develop. And we should also take a model from that. And that is what the AES is doing. And they are going after medicine, they are going after education, they're going after food security. They should be supported, not attacked. Not because it's brother to brother. You are doing what on behalf of whom? On behalf of whom? Because companies who have been ripping off are not allowed to get the benefit again of free access to our raw material resources, and they will just pay off a few people and their families, give them a house in Dubai, a place in New York, and just 100 of an entire population as elites is now looked after. You go to Paris and you're welcomed, and a photo up with Macron, and a photo up with this one and that one. I mean, what does that mean? Nothing for your people. Your people needs real intervention, which they are demonstrating already. Check it out. They are doing that already. And inflation is going to be reduced because they're going to be trading with their own currency, and will not have a weaponized currency like the CFA or the franc or the dollar to drive them into hyperinflation. And that is what they are avoiding as well by having a new currency for themselves. ECO, which was the one that was planned by ECOWAS, they're showing ECOWAS a proper example. We can do it. The ECO was attacked and was destroyed by colonial powers, France leading the way to ensure that we did not free ourselves to have our own currency. We are also working on a standard United Digital African currency, because digital and blockchain has now given us the freedom for that quantum leap. Just like we had with telecoms, the opportunity now to have our own currency is there. And you saw what the United States has done. They now have a regulatory body for crypto and bitcoins. Ecuador has now put their standard currency as a crypto. There's no reason why Africa cannot do the same thing now and move away from these weaponized currencies. And that's what we need to do now. We need to follow the lead of AES, get our own currencies in place so that we are not affected by weaponized currencies. And thank God for BRICS, we can now have the opportunity, to trade and get our currencies, whatever they are, endorsed and taken on board by BRICS countries. The day of weaponization is over. African youth are waking up. the Traorés and the Chiantis and all of those AES countries are young men, very young men. Whether they're in uniform or not, they are thinking of their people. Enough is enough. And that is what the youth of Africa is also saying. When you have the Gen Zs of Kenya, the Gen Zs of all the other countries who are waking up and saying, we are not going to follow our old mothers and fathers who are just paying lip service to us, but paying full attention to the colonial powers who want us to stay in poverty. No, it's enough. And we have to support them. I am one of those Pan-Africans who say, full kudos to the AES, and the ECOWAS should take a leaf out of their book on currency, on control of their resources, on giving back to the people, because this is what they are doing. They're giving back to the people.
Ambassador Wallace William, sorry I have to cut in. Before we go on a short break, in less than a minute, if you can tie these two questions in one. Earlier on, you talked about how are these three countries going to get France out. But if you look at the agreement between Senegal and France, they came to a mutual agreement and France withdrew their troops. Do you think that could have been a better option? Then secondly, you seem to place all the blame on ECOWAS. So in your own thoughts, what should they have done differently, perhaps to have prevented this exit?
Well, what they should have done differently is to embrace the AES countries as their brothers. Say, what can we do together? How can we make this work? Okay, currency we know is a problem. Let us all have a blanket approach to getting a common currency. That already shows that you are embracing their ideas. Let us now all have local content and let us take control of our resources. Because those are the things that they've done. Those are the things. So look at what they have done. And they could have said, okay, let us get together as ECOWAS, move ourselves away from any involvement or any influence from colonial Western powers. We can have mutual arrangements after, but let's get our house in order first. What do we need as Africans? What do we need as ECOWAS? We need a common currency. It's been on the back burner, on front burner for the past 20 years. We need control of our resources. What are we going to do? Can we have, an economic band where we have all our resources pooled together and we can now look at refining what we have and selling to the world? What are the goals we're going to set? I talk about African Development Goals Initiative. Every year we can say, okay, this year ECOWAS, we are going to take care of health for all. This year we are going to have, the following year we'll have free education for all. Next year we'll have food security for all internalized, like China did. Now, that way, you're showing Ubuntu, you're showing togetherness, you're showing integration. And then, after that, yes, you can have some, whatever, mutual agreement on your terms with anybody else, whether it's France, Britain, any other people. But you have looked after your house first, and then they will respect you. So if Senegal wants to do that, and the others, they are outside of the goal and the vision of the AES countries and other Pan-African looking countries. We have got to get it right, my dear brother. We've got to get it right by looking after our own selves first, taking care of our needs first, controlling our destiny ahead of anybody else dictating to us. It's not about getting rid of France. It's about getting rid of any influence that stops us from getting towards our goals.
Right, Ambassador Williams, thank you very much. Please stay on the line. We'll go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue with Just Africa.
Welcome to Femi Walsh Limited, owners of Souq TV Lagos, Our Radio Lagos, Kaswa Radio Kano, and of course, Emirates TV, Abuja, and Dubai. Our niche market for media is business, economy, and development. At Femi Walsh, we promote your company's products and services using our world-class facilities. From our radio to Souq TV, what you get is nothing but the best of the very best. And if you're looking for the premium production firm for your events and corporate coverage, think no further, because we offer you the best of industry standards. With high-definition cameras ranging from 4K to 8K multicam setups, high-directional microphones, and real-time streaming encoders, we give you a production like none other. And if you're looking to produce podcasts, adverts, and documentaries, our team of experts will ensure that you convey your message clearly and professionally. Femi Walsh, Global Vision, Local Impact.
At the African Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. African Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back. This is still Just Africa if you're just tuning in, and we're still talking about the breakaway, the AES breakaway, that is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And we also have Ambassador Wallace Williams, Chairman, African International Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So glad to have you, Ambassador Wallace Williams.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Now, Ambassador Wallace, one specific question I'm going to ask is that a lot of people, not just yourselves, have seen the disposition and the way and manner the Bamako, Niamey, and the other country took over power, but Ouagadougou. But the thing is, even if every government in the continent of Africa is not perfect, and there are dissenting voices in each of the states, and most of them have been tied to the allegations that Western allies are controlling the operations of this government. So if Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have gone the route of taking over power through the barrel of the gun, and it seems people are blinking at them, are like, okay, probably they did something right. What if other opposition leaders and dissenting voices in the ECOWAS bloc begin to consider the same action? Is that not going to take us to the era of Thomas Hobbes's thoughts about how short, brutal, and chaotic life is?
Well, that's a very philosophical question there, and thank you for that. We are talking about leadership and governance. Where leadership and governance does not give the people what they deserve, you have revolutions. However, that revolution comes about, whether it's from the crowds of people. And don't forget, when you have revolutions, people arm themselves, don't they? The people in the streets, some innocent and don't have enough arms, but what people do is they go and they either riot or they decide that they must topple their government to get a leadership and governance that they deserve and that they want. So if these three governments saw the need to do it and they did it by the barrel of the gun and they have been embraced by the people, it's a revolution. Whether they use clubs, guns, whatever, the fact of the matter is that they decided that they had to get rid of the government and the governance and the leadership that was driving their country and their people into further poverty, because that's really what it is at the end of the day. It is poverty. Poverty is the mainstay of these countries in the past. And they had to do something to stem the tide of poverty. And in most of our other ECOWAS and other countries on the continent, if you look at it, it is the poor that suffer. The elites do not. They fly to London and France and Germany when they are sick. They send their children abroad for education. They get everything that they deserve and that they think they deserve for themselves. And, you know, what we'd say is, well, to hell with the rest of the country. We are getting our just deserts that we are in power, and therefore we make use of that power. And the rest of the country suffers in poverty. No health, no good schooling, food security, etc. And they have decided, by whatever means, to be a revolutionary. And to be a revolutionary, most times, you have to take up arms. Most times, when you go back to even France, had a revolution. I said America had a revolution. The Europe had a revolution. Why not Africa? Is it something wrong that Africa, if they have a revolution, we must question it? If the people say that we have had enough, and if their youths who happen to be in uniform realize that the only way they can take over the country and get rid of bad governance is to take up arms, why shouldn't they? We have done it in Nigeria several times. Please, do not do as though it is alien to Africa. Do not do as though it's alien to Nigeria and ECOWAS. It has been done before. If the people who took over still misuse it, you know, then that is a reason to question those who still went and imitated what they said they were trying to change. But as far as we are seeing up till now, right, and we have to say up till now, the 3 AES states are doing right by their people. Their people have embraced them. I mean, in Ouagadougou, people are going out after work and after they've had the dinner and sleeping in the city center to protect their president. What does that tell you? That tells you that they are being supported by their people. Their people have embraced that change. So you cannot deny that that change has been accepted by their people. And it is people, it is, what is the Latin? They said, you know, by the people, for the people, you know, voice populi, which is the voice.
Wallace, Ambassador Wallace, so sorry I had to butt in here because we are almost out of time, but I need to ask you this question before we go. Now, do remember that before the coups from these 3 countries, we had, by way of foreign direct investment and economic movement, we've had foreign direct investment into the countries. French multinationals multinationals from the West. They've been in Bamako, they've been in Ouagadougou, they've been in Niamey, and their presence alone there in these countries has also been the source through which infrastructural development are taking place, and some other economic benefit, if you call it taking place. They've been able to attract technology and brought in equipment from these Western clans to their country to come and further the activities of production, trade, and commerce amongst themselves. But since the coup, and now we have a military administration in place, don't you think that the presence of this, of the military is going to scare the business operations of the multinationals to operate freely there?
What is the foreign direct investment? What is the benefit that it has given to the country? To come and plunder the resources, give them 2% and take away 98%? No, sorry, I don't agree with that kind of foreign direct investment. Have they transferred technology? Have they done any production of the same equipment that they are bringing to say, well, okay, we are transferring technology and we are working in partnership? If you want to, as a foreign direct investor, to enhance the country you're going to and to benefit the country, you transfer technology, you do partnerships, you have equitable shareholding, not to come in and tell me that I'm bringing in foreign direct investment. And the infrastructure, by the way, is only leading to where they have their sources of exploitation. That's the only infrastructure. Check it out. Their roads, etc., is going to the mines. Their roads, etc., is going to where they have invested. No other. There is no other. And there's not enough that they are having to give equitably to the government, for the government to say, okay, we at least have 50% of this revenue to take care of our infrastructure. No. What they come and do is they give you 2%, and most times they will pay that over a period of time, not even at source. And that cannot be fair. We do not have any equitable foreign direct investment in those countries, and it has been demonstrated. They saw that and they said it cannot continue. And you call the name again, France and Arikana, Kwao and Pierre Lumumba, they all have spoken about the same nemesis. The same people, France and other Western countries, have showed that they are not respecting any African country to do an equitable shareholding, to do an equitable mutual partnership. No, it's all about exploit. I'm bringing foreign direct investment. What does that mean if it does not have equitable benefits from that arrangement? It cannot be. All that is being said there about foreign direct investment and a few people being employed and the masses are being unemployed, that is not foreign direct investment. You know, where is the CSR? Where is the application of technology, transfer of technology, training, equitable partnership, bringing up entrepreneurs, ensuring that people participate in their community with the raw material resources? It's not being done. So it cannot be that to say, oh, foreign direct investment. No. What is the foreign direct investment actually doing for the country? What is it doing to benefit the people? It's not being done in an equitable fashion. And I am going to keep hinting and saying on that it is never an equitable arrangement, never. So the countries who have to say, get rid of those and bring in those who would, and it has to be equitably driven. That is what Africa needs as a whole. We don't need foreign direct investment, which is not for the benefit of the country.
All right, thank you very much, Ambassador Wallace Williams. So my question is very simple. What is at stake for the ordinary citizens in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, especially small businesses? How would they tackle the youth unemployment, the high rate of youth unemployment in these 3 Sahel states?
Well, I already see from reading and soon to visit that they are having programs for entrepreneurs and ensuring that some of the benefits they're getting from the funding, they are opening factories, they are driving entrepreneurship. I saw in telecoms, I saw in production of raw materials. They are going to make most of the other individuals in the countries be miners, doing refining, tomato factories using all their agricultural produce that they can export. Of course, hopefully AFCTA will allow them to trade with the other countries outside of ECOWAS if ECOWAS has blocked them. But I see so far that they have been applying and implementing what they said they are going to do. They are, going to the citizens, and they are building up the citizens in every way that they can. I mean, everything is taking time. I mean, they're looking at health, they're looking at education, they're looking at food, and they are working with whatever they have as resources. Look at how many tractors, in Burkina Faso was brought in for farmers. Look at what they have done with regards to giving them fertilizers, giving them feed, to feed their crops and to bring about self-sustainability. Those are the things that we need on the continent. And they're doing so in a spirit of brotherhood, all three. They're not saying, I am alone. All three have said, we have formed ourselves into a coalition to benefit each other and to trade with each other, which is a model that should be adopted. And out of this now will come a template for the rest of the continent. Let us follow an example of taking back what is ours, using it for our people, and implementing good governance, which so far they seem to be doing.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Wallace Williams. Permit me if I should puncture one of your assertions. You made mention of Nigeria has done it before, talking about military rule. So I'd like us to look at this closely. Let's compare true military rulers, that of General Babangida and maybe that of Abacha. And also let's consider civil administration, civilian rule, that of former President Olusegun Obasanjo and this current administration of President Bola Tinubu. Would you say that we have not advanced better economically, comparing military rule and civilian rule?
Yes, well, speaking about Nigeria, what has happened is that the military interventions have done a lot of good for Nigeria, because then politicians realize that, look, we have to do things right and get things right, and they have, right? However, we play about with politics now in Nigeria was as a result of the military having a disciplined approach to the attention of Nigerian politicians to not taking the country for granted. Having gone through those military processes, Nigeria has learned, hasn't it? And therefore, after those incidents, if we want to call it incidents, and you cannot say that they did not do some things right. They did. They got parties to organize themselves. A lot of the warring factions merged, and they started to look at a Nigeria first approach. Even if democracy has its, ups and downs, which is what we are calling our own Africacy, the military intervention provided Nigeria with a steering of the ship correctly. Whether or not we like it, they did, what they had to do to get politicians in line. Form yourselves into parties, get the people to work with you, and let us move forward. And yes, now we have had, a process where we now have politicians who have organized themselves and, put into place economic reforms, sustainable reforms, a lot of things that have come about from the military era has helped Nigeria to advance. It's not perfect, as you say, and it's not perfect yet, and it can't be ever, but Nigeria has made progress, a lot of progress after the military era. And who knows what would happen after the military era of the AES? We might have, politicians who understand for the people, by the people, and let us continue that tendency, like Thomas Sankara did, and that's why he was killed. Thomas Sankara was killed because he was thinking of the people. He was not thinking about himself. He was driving the same car, not taking a salary, and was committed to the people. And France took him out using his own best friend, Campori, to do so. And that is where the Burkina Faso retarded back years. And up comes another young man who says, we are going to follow the Thomas Sankara model, and is doing so, very diligently. And we have to give kudos to them for what they're doing. At the end of the day, military interference at times do have good outcomes. And as I said before, don't forget, America, France, and all other European countries fought for their survival and their independence through the barrel of a gun. So there's no difference on the African continent. Nigeria is benefiting from that in a number of ways. You could see, look, President Obasanjo went back to become a democratically elected president, and he came out of a military era, and, to God be the glory that he was able to demonstrate two sides of the coin, that he was elected and fought for, election, as a non-military person in terms of not being in uniform in his second coming.
Thank you. So in closing, two questions. What are the lessons to take away from this breakaway for other states? What do you think would be the lessons to take away from this?
That we must imbibe Ubuntu. We are brothers. Let us work together. Do not allow other people to allow us to fight ourselves. For ECOWAS to be saying they're going to fight AES is not Ubuntu, right? They should find a way to embrace their brothers, right? That's number one. Number two, the lesson is that if you have bad governance and bad leadership, the people, whether they are in the military or whether they're in the populace, and say, look, enough is enough, we need to get our people, to eat, to be educated, to own their resources, to get businesses up and running without interference and partnership. Those are lessons to be learned. And then also, more importantly, the independence to choose, how they deal with their resources as a sovereign nation is very key, because Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth. And everybody, but everybody, is heading to Africa to plunder its resources for their own good. And therefore, that has to stop. So if there's any lesson, more importantly, that we have learned from AES is control of resources. Because control of resources will give us the benefits to do what we would like for our continent and for our nation states. I'm saying not countries, because you find Ghanaians and others have relatives in neighboring states that were cut off by Berlin Conference, and we've got to tear up that Berlin Conference and embrace our people. We have to get rid of visas. Every other country can visit the continent free, but we can't travel freely among ourselves. We've got to get rid of any, what I will call, negative approach to Africans, in the diaspora and on the continent, that we can show Ubuntu, a sense of belonging, that we all belong. We are under one Ubuntu African umbrella. And that is what we've got to embrace. Those are the takeaways. We need to embrace it. Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your powerful thoughts. You have been brilliant, Ambassador Wallace Williams. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was Ambassador Wallace Williams, Chairman, African International Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Powerful, powerful thoughts.
Yes, but One thing is this, the economic communities of West African states should sit together and begin to reconsider their weaknesses and some of the lapses and the reasons that the three countries gave why they are leaving. If they need to really assess themselves and examine what they've been doing, if they are really puppets of the West, and if they have not been able to stand up to the West when it comes to very, very critical economic decisions, and in order for them to go back home and have planned. Because if not, like the first guest said, if the Sahel states, keeps making progress with regards to global economic ties, economic strength, consolidating what they have on ground, and they have investment, and when they use their own currency or the new currency that they are going to form within the existence of the Sahel state, if that currency is strong enough to be making grounds and it's well recognized, being part of BRICS is giving them some form of leverage in the global space, they might start attracting some form of, they might start attracting others from not only the bloc but from the African Union who might want to use the same vehicle to acquire power. And we must prevent that from happening.
Yes, we must prevent that from happening. This is where we will draw the curtains on Just Africa today. I'd like to say thank you to our two guests, for a deeply engaging conversation. As Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger chart a new path outside ECOWAS, West Africa stands at a crossroad. Whether this is a moment of fragmentation or the birth of a new regional order remains to be seen. But what is clear, that Africa's unity, politically and economically, cannot survive without trust, inclusion, and mutual respect. We'll keep watching. We will keep asking, because as Just Africa, the continent is our story. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And I'm Oyin Priye Kurumale, and thanks for watching.